part 73 of Don't Say Schwarzenegger. This part is mainly all Maurice Driz. Shenanigans, testifying, perjury, all of the above. So before Maurice gets up on the stand, our team put on their forensic economist and to talk about, all of the tax forms and documents that he hasn't been able to look at pretty much because the Drizzes and Jolson have refused to hand over anything. It's like a month here, a year here. We asked for like 10 years. So he pretty much was able to go on there and say, yeah, they're hiding stuff. And the judge was like, yeah, clearly we'll get to that in the punitive. And then after that, we'll deal with it. She'll deal with it. But she couldn't because she got removed right after the verdict, just like the criminal. We'll get to that. Okay, so the Economist is on the stand and Maurice Driz is, he pulls out his Ally McBeal, and he gets up there and he's supposed to ask him questions. And instead, Maurice, the attorney, goes, "Hello, my name is Maurice. I have cancer on my vocal cords. I spent quite a bit of time in the hospital trying to get better." And he's like looking at the jury. The judge cuts him off and she's like, "Is this a question?" And he's like, "No." So she ends it right there. So now Maurice Driz is called to testify, get on the stand. And suddenly, after this entire day of him interrupting everyone else, yelling over everyone else, just being a nuisance and yelling, like he has a strong voice and all that stuff, he's asked to testify. And suddenly he says, "I cannot keep on talking. I will tell you, I cannot carry on with my voice." So the judge goes, "Okay, we will delay your testimony for now." But that doesn't work. We go off the record and our attorneys are like, okay, first of all, Maurice has been speaking out all day, out of turn, like all day, more than anyone else actually, and he's clearly audible. And now he can't testify. The judge says, there's no question he's been actively participating here. It's on the record. The record can't see what we're all seeing, end quote. What she's referring to, remember I said that he came in on the first day of court or when the first time he showed up, because it wasn't the first day of court, but the first day he showed up, he had a big bandage, like a huge bandage on his neck for the jury. And he was wearing it every day. And on this day, he forgot to put it back on. Like he came back from a break or something like that. He forgot to put it back on. And his neck, the surgery scar, I'm just kidding. There was no surgery scar. It was the tannest, like he had a fresh tan from the first week of the trial. Fresh tan, wonder where that was from. And the smoothest Sephora ad skincare you have ever seen. I've done a million skincare ads and stuff. And even I was like, oh my God, I need to know your routine because smooth, not a mark on it. And every single person in the courtroom noticed. At this point, Sean Driz goes, okay, I'll speak for him then. And the judge just ignores him because like, what planet are you on? And then Maurice says, he's like, my voice, it comes and goes. And he looks at the judge and he says, I apologize to you. And then he looks at us, the plaintiffs, and he goes, but not to them. Like he can't contain his contempt and rage and disrespect. Like it was wild. It'll become abundantly clear why we ended up having to have the judge had the security come into the courtroom for the verdict and all that. So next, Maurice, he's still sticking to the whole like cancer thing. And he says to the judge, he's like, I just had 8 weeks of radiation. And his son Sean is like, Dad, it was 6 weeks of radiation. And so Maurice goes, yes, 12 weeks of radiation. What? And then the Judge Susan Bryant Deason goes, she says it. She goes, and I quote, I saw his bandage the other day. Do you have your bandage on today? I didn't think so. You can feel it in the room since the first day of court, but with the whole bandage thing that you can't see in the transcripts and you as my audience, and we can't take pictures inside the courtroom, but like the biggest, craziest bandage ever, and then he forgets to put it on coming back in the courtroom, and it's just like nothing had ever happened, and he's extra tan, much tanner than Alberto, because Alberto wasn't in Turks and Caicos, he was in trial. After the judge says this about the bandage, he suddenly is able to testify, he says. Okay, so Maurice Driz finally takes the stand. His throat is suddenly fine. His voice is suddenly fine. He takes the stand to testify. And, a lot of the pictures that I brought to them and to my attorneys, this is one of them. And this was shown to the jury. And Maurice said, this is from the night. This is just a few hours before they almost unalived us. And Maurice says on the stand, he goes, I was not intoxicated. Totally looks sober. Yeah. He says, I had wine. I have diabetes. I can't have hard liquor. Please hold. This is a photo that I took, or one of my friends took that I was with. I took other photos when I bumped into them at the Edition Hotel on Sunset Boulevard in November of 2019. I bumped into them, and one of them, they were both drinking. It could have been scotch or whiskey. It was like a dark hard liquor, and they were both, one was ordering another, like a third drink, and then the other one was holding two. And I have pictures of them. We actually, after they saw that they were having their photos taken, because they're on felony probation, they're not allowed to be drinking alcohol, and they're not allowed to be in a bar. So when they, as you can see, look how angry he is. He's like, someone's taking our picture. They had just gotten their drinks. They slammed him down on the side of the pool table, and they ran as fast as they could out of the bar. So we went and got pictures of that. I'll save some details for another format. But it was hard alcohol that they were drinking, and despite him saying on the stand, I can't have hard liquor. And then he perjures himself again, and he's like, well, I also don't do illegal substances. He forgot about the 2017 white powder bust at his house while he was on felony probation. And he's trying to explain away, but he's realizing he's perjuring himself. He's talking, and finally, he can't stop talking. Finally, the judge goes, just stop talking and let him ask the questions. Interesting for a guy who can't talk. Oh, and while he was testifying during this part, the judge said, well, if your voice hurts so bad, then how about you don't have to get on the stand, even though there's a microphone there. She was like, you can testify from your seat at the table with your other three co-defendants, whatever. Like, you can sit there, we'll bring you a microphone to make it easier for him, because yeah. So at this point, and everybody in the courtroom heard it finally, and my attorneys were like, okay, Your Honor, the other defendants are whispering answers into his ear as I'm asking him questions. And the judge goes, yeah, I heard it under their breath too. That's cheating. So she admonished them. Ugh, this goes on and on. Then there's fake injury photos that one of the Driz twins presented well after the incident happened, way down the road. They presented it, and it was like, I showed them earlier in the series, but there were like 5-6 pictures that Sean Driz took of them, and they're like doing like sad face, and like it looks like makeup drawn right there, like bad makeup of bruises, a little bit of bruising, and then one of them had like a little bitty band-aid or something. Like, it was like laughable. And those pictures are presented, and the judge literally said, she goes, oh, that's got the one with the band-aid on. Like, sassy. And then Maurice has the audacity, and he goes, I've never been in a physical fight in my life. Where has he been? So he's caught lying again and again and again, and finally Maurice goes, I will not keep on talking. I'm getting pain. Maurice is then shown the video of the assault, and he says that he does not recognize anybody in the video, not even himself, even though every single person in the video was shown the video and pointed out not only themselves, but their co-defendants and friends that were in there. So it's not even a question. Maurice doesn't like this, so he yells while he's testifying, objection! And the judge is like, no, overruled. What? Then Maurice Driz says that he would never punch a lady. I have a daughter, he says. That's his daughter, Annabella Driz, and he did punch a lady. It was me. Then he says his brother Alberto was missing a finger and couldn't have punched anyone either. So the judge says, Alberto, show us your hands. And he shows all 10 fingers. Not missing a finger. And again, then Maurice claims there are 10 to 12 witness statements supporting their story. And he also refuses to provide them or the names. Seems legit. And his testimony ends with Maurice looking at me sitting in the back, and he looks and he says, only animals jump fences. That's right, I'm Animal Green. Welcome. That's it for this part. See you on the next one.